stepped into comes with the need to make some big decisions that affect the entire school, and also to participate in decisions that affect the entire university. So the gravity of all this became very clear, of course, this year with the pandemic and also the social justice sort of reckoning within our society. I've learned the importance, I would say, as a leader, of really understanding and weighing the viewpoints of others before making some of these big decisions, especially those many others within the school and the university that have special expertise or experiences before coming to any of my own conclusions about some of these big decisions. And so that's been a very a big learning experience for me. But I've discovered within myself this capacity to step up and make some of these hard decisions, which I'm not sure that I really knew was a part of who I am. And I feel like I've been able to maintain a clear head while doing so. I've also, I would say, learned the importance of being able to approach problems with the goal of creating a win-win for everyone. Being, leading the school within a large university, you oftentimes find issues that have to be worked out between different units. And so really being able to find that win-win, I think is really critical to being able to be a good leader. And I would say that lastly, I've learned the importance of being willing to take what Mr. Goizueta would call intelligent risks, being willing to do things that are a bit bold and do things differently from the way they've been done in the past as a way to move the institution forward. And one example of something I'm really proud of that we were able to do this year, which I do feel like was an intelligent risk, was the launching of our John Lewis racial justice case competition. And so that was a huge feat that our faculty, staff, and students, this was actually a student-led event, pulled off. And it did pose some risks for the institution, for the school, but it ended up being a huge success and brought Goizueta and Emory University quite a lot of national acclaim. I think whether I like it or not, I will probably forever be known as the COVID Dean. But it's been such a challenging year. I am really proud of the work my leadership team and I have done by way of moving the school forward, even during such challenging times. I guess my hope is that alumni, students, and my colleagues will look favorably on my time as interim dean and consider me a good steward of the school's resources, but also of the school's reputation and the culture of the school. We have an amazing culture here at Goizueta. Goizueta it's really a special place, and it's been an honor to lead the school during such an important time, really a time of change and adaptation and transition. And I'm looking forward to this coming year as I continue to lead the school during this time of transition as we launch the search for our new dean. So this has been a huge learning experience for me. I'm looking forward to going back to the classroom when I step out of this role. And I really believe I'll do things differently as an educator in the classroom. Last spring, we did a common read called Whistling Vivaldi. And it really opened my eyes to the experiences of our minority students in the classroom. It introduced this concept called, I think it was called a stereotype threat, which is this personal sense that and fear that you're going to confirm negative stereotypes about the group to which you belong, whether that's a racial group or gender or cultural group. And so the book provided many examples of how students' performance in a classroom declines when they have this sort of overriding fear and concern about confirming a negative stereotype. So I think, internalized the importance of thinking about how a class is structured, and even simple things like how I might ask a student a question to better support these students and sort of relieve them of that fear. So I probably should go back and reread that book before I start teaching again, to really think about how I can make the classroom environment better for our students, all of our students, whatever the group that they belong to. My research focuses on decision making, which is in particular, how information is used in an organization to make better decisions, and also how an organization can be structured to facilitate better decision making, to help employees and managers make better decisions. So certainly the focus on inequality, income inequality, and racism has kind of sparked my interest in how organizations could and should, for example, evaluate and reward people. A large part of my research focuses on how individuals are rewarded within organizations. I have some current research that I'm doing looking at gender bias in performance evaluation and reward systems. So I've become more interested, I would say, because of the events of this last year, about how companies can do better with respect to creating an equality in the workplace. I've also very recently become interested in how organizations can tap into neurodiverse talent, recognizing that our traditional ways of recruiting and managing these types of employees might be pretty inadequate, and really beginning to think about what is the best way to get the most out of this incredible talent base. So I do think the events of the past year will inform my research and my research interests going forward. So we have a 38-foot motorhome. So it's important to understand it's not really camping, but as they say, glamping. And I don't know if I have a most memorable trip, but we have a favorite place that we like to go in the North Carolina mountains. It's this beautiful resort. It's near Lake Toxaway in the town of I guess, Cashiers is nearby. But the views are just magnificent. And the pickleball is never ending. And so we take advantage of all the pickleball tournaments and everyday play just at this resort. So we haven't been able to venture too far because of my responsibilities as interim dean, but I'm looking forward to taking a long trip up the East Coast when I step down at some point. Well, first of all, I recently discovered audiobooks, and I used to think that was cheating somehow, but then I realized I spend, 95% of my time all day reading. So I decided at some point it was okay to absorb ideas and books, as an audiobook. Plus, it is a great way to pass the time when you're on a long, RV trip. So I don't know about a favorite business book. I tend to like books that, first of all, are based upon academic research, but then apply those academic research findings to what we see in the real world and real life. So I tend to like books, for example, by Daniel Kahneman, Thinking Fast and Slow, and I think he has a new book out called Noise that I actually haven't read yet, but I'm looking forward to reading. But those are all books about decision making and how kind of the frailty of human judgment and decision making. I just find that really fascinating. But right now, what I've been reading recently, and I think this has been sparked by my role as interim dean, I've been reading some books about the role that business has and can and should play in society. So as you know, the mission of the Goizueta Business School is to prepare principled leaders to have a positive influence on business and society. So one book I've been reading, I'm in the middle of it, is Reimagining Capitalism in a World on Fire. Is what it's called, by Rebecca Henderson. And that book really talks about what role, if any, does business have, what responsibility, I would say, does business have in addressing some of society's big problems, like climate change, like social justice, or even voting and our democratic processes. And I also just recently received a book from Arthur Blank. Mr. Blank shared a book with me, his new book called Good Company. And that also, I've just started that one. It also is talking about the role of business in society. And Mr. Blank, who was the founder of the Home Depot, he kind of shares his vision around value-based management, value-based business, and really this idea that purpose and profit can go hand in hand. So this is really beginning to shape how I think about business and business school and business education. And I think these books will also change the way I teach. Uh, for most of my career, for too long, I think I'm realizing I focused on decision making. As I said, I teach classes and do research on decision making, and I focused on profit making. And I think it's time for me to expand how I teach and the things I do in the classroom to focus on other stakeholders. And so I'm looking forward to being back in the classroom and being able to bring in some of these ideas. And quite frankly, that's what the students of today, this generation of students, that's what they really care about. So I'm looking forward to being able to bring more of that into the classroom. This was the hardest question. This was interesting. 3 words. The words I came up with were dedicated, integrated, and busy. So as dean and being involved in the broader university conversation, I've really gotten a really good enterprise-wide view of the entire library system, and which I didn't have before. So first of all, I've come to see how dedicated these professionals are, our library professionals are, dedicated to supporting students, faculty, staff, and so that's been very impressive to me throughout the entire university system. And in terms of the business library, I've learned how integrated into and really integral the library is, the business library is to our educational and research missions. The business library team is constantly looking for ways to contribute, whether that's supporting students in their classes or their projects, or supporting faculty in their research. So I've been very impressed and about how integrated the library is in everything we do. And then the last one is busy. I was really shocked to see the number of touch points that the library team has with our community over the course of a year. So the customer service mentality is really impressive. And again, just very integrated and very much a part of the core of Goizueta Business School. So that's been very eye-opening for me and really heartening to see.